Straight all day.
Sound check 1 2. You are now tuned in to the show where you earn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That's the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together in one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show, one master class. It is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. And today's topic, as promised, is the top missing reasons, the things that athletes are missing often as a basketball player. I'm talking specifically for basketball, but this can apply to other sports. Players who fail to make it, quote unquote, at the professional level. Now, yesterday we talked about how athletes, specifically basketball players, fail to make it at the college level. Today we're talking pro, and this can apply to other sports. But, disclaimer, I didn't play any other sports professionally nor collegiately, so I'm speaking specifically from basketball experience, from my expertise in knowing how the pro basketball game works, from working my way up from the bottom of that to playing professionally as a career. So those of you who play other sports, many of the principles that I share here today will apply as well to your sport, but know that this is, again, from the basis of basketball. And those of you who are not athletes, again, you should still listen to everything I'm going to talk about here today, because the principles that I'm going to be talking about apply across all disciplines. There are principles I'm going to talk about here that even if you don't play a sport, you can still apply these to the work that you do. In some of these missing elements, these things that athletes are missing that causes them to miss out on a possible opportunity to be a professional athlete, these are the same elements that some people are missing in other professions that cost them opportunities of becoming professions in those areas. So pay attention to all of this stuff that I'm going to talk about here today. And those of you who are basketball players, please take notes and notice everything I'm going to be talking about here today. And don't think that anything doesn't apply to you, because the very thing that you think doesn't apply to you will be the exact thing that bites you in the ass in the end and causes you to miss out on what would have been your chance to become a professional athlete. So let's get right into it. Point number 1, talent. This is the number one thing that causes pro athletes to miss their opportunity, is a lack. Because today we're talking about the things that they're missing, okay? Remember that everything I'm noting here today are things that athletes are missing. Number one thing, no talent. An athlete who does not have enough talent, you can have everything else in place. Hard work, dedication, belief in yourself, confidence, mental toughness, all of that stuff, discipline, all of it. If you don't have talent, you're not going to get your chance. This game, when it comes to basketball especially, this game is a natural selection game. The most talented athletes are the ones who are going to get the shots. And the athletes who are less talented, you could work really, really, really hard and be really dedicated and have all that mental stuff in place. Without the right amount of talent, you're not going to get your chance. You can take everything I've ever taught here in this show and apply it all perfectly. Without talent, it's not going to get you into the pro game. That's just the way that it works. And I'm pausing there for emphasis just so you can let that sink in. A lot of athletes don't like hearing about this. That's why I'm opening with it. And that's the reason why it's the first point, because I don't give a damn that you don't like hearing it. That's the exact reason why you need to hear it. The top thing that separates professional athletes from would-be professional athletes is not hard work. It is not dedication. It is not the fact that they have access to a facility or a trainer or any other bullshit that any professional athlete wants to tell you that is what makes them a pro athlete. Because I never hear any pro athlete say this. I don't hear a soccer player, baseball player, football player, basketball player. I never hear anybody say this. I'm saying it. All right, and this is the reason why this show is this show. All right, I'm giving you shit that you ain't gonna get from anywhere else, any other show, anybody, anywhere in the world. The number one thing that separates a professional athlete from every other athlete out there is talent. And I'm letting that sink in. It is not hard work. No, it's not hard work. All right, there are college athletes who work harder than some professional athletes. The difference between the two is the professional athlete is so much more talented than the college athlete, just so much better than the college athlete, that despite your hard work, college athlete, you still wouldn't beat them in a game. You still not getting the job that they had. You will still never get the opportunities that pro athlete has, simply because they're just so much better than you. That's just what the game is. Fortunately or unfortunately, it just depends on the way you decide to look at it. Players who are unsure if they can cut it talent-wise, they always push back when they hear me say something like this. I've said this on this show. I've said it in tweets. I've said it on social media posts. I've said it on YouTube videos, and people come in the comments and try to debate me on it. People even try to use me as an example in this. They say, well, Dre, look, you were not that talented, as you said. You had to fight your way up from the bottom. How are you going to say that talent is the key to becoming a professional athlete? Well, I never said I didn't have any talent. I said I wasn't LeBron James talent, but I had talent. I had more talent than the average Division III college basketball player, which is why I ended up as a professional basketball player. Talent was part of that equation. Yes, I worked hard. Yes, I believed in myself. Yes, I had to be dedicated. Yes, I had to do all those other mental game stuff that I myself talk about, that I write books about. Without the talent to go with it, none of that stuff would have mattered. And the same thing applies for you. Without the talent to go with it, none of that stuff will matter for you. That's the game. And you can go ahead and push back on this all you want. But when you get on that court and that reality smacks you in the face of that player who's just more talented than you, all right, it'll be very clear to you then. All right, you probably won't say anything about it at that point, but that's the way that it goes. The game will tell you the truth eventually. Time always tells the truth. This is the stark reality of the professional sports business, is that it is not hard work based. I know that your school teachers and your parents and the bullshit motivational speakers that you hear, whether on stages, at events, on microphones, talking on podcasts, on YouTube videos, on Instagram, on Facebook, influencers and their bum-ass captions, all want to tell you how their hard work and their dedication and their commitment and their self-belief is the reason why they became successful. And in some fields, maybe that's possible. But I want to speak specifically to the sports field. That is not the way that it works. In sports, talent often wins out. If someone is talented enough, they can make every other mistake in the book. They're still going to get opportunity after opportunity just because they are so talented. We got to give them a chance. That's the way that it works in this game. The NBA is the great show that it is because it features the most talented players in the world. The most talented basketball players in the world are playing in the NBA. And they just happen to also, at the same time, they work hard on their games. They develop their skills. They have training. They have trainers. They practice every day. They do all those things to enhance their talent, but they have a ton of talent that they're working with. They showed up with that talent. Now, they didn't train for that talent. They showed up with it. All right, let's be clear on that. I want to make sure everyone understands that's what makes this show of the NBA what it is because the players are so damn good. They're just very fucking talented. And anybody who doesn't have that level of talent, all right, you're not going to be able to compete with those guys. That's what the game is. On a night in and night out basis, every single day, consistently, you're not going to be able to keep up. Now, can you have a good game here and there? Sure, of course you can. Can you do it for 82 nights in a row and 100 practices? Probably not. Actually, not probably not. Definitely not. And that's why everybody can't get in the game. Everybody can't make it. And I talked about that in a previous masterclass here. Let me see if I can find the one where I talked about that. That's episode number 855. Not everybody's going to make it. And there are many reasons why everybody isn't going to make it. One of the reasons why everybody isn't going to make it is because everybody doesn't have the talent to make it. Everybody doesn't get lucky. All right? Being blessed with talent is luck. You understand that? Especially when we're talking sports. Height is luck in basketball, for example. But being just the fluidity, the agility, the fast twitch muscles, all of those things are bestowed upon people. That's luck. You didn't work hard for that. You were just blessed with it. You were blessed to be 6'8". That's luck. It's a talent in basketball, but you were lucky to be blessed with that. That 6'8" height could have went to somebody else. Luck plays a major factor, but what I'm talking here specifically is about talent. Talent is, you can call yourself lucky to be blessed with a certain amount of talent. Not everybody has it. Not everybody's going to have it. Now, you can push back against it and say, well, I'm not that talented, but I'm still going to make it on my own. Okay, go ahead. If you make it, go write a book about it. You can inspire the next million kids who are going to go after that dream the same way that you did. I'm not telling you not to try. I'm just letting you know what it is. Now that we're clear on that, I want you to understand something. There are a lot of people who are very talented who still don't make it. So I may be breaking some brains right now. Talent is the number one reason why many athletes cannot become pros, because they just don't have enough of it. But there are still some athletes who have plenty of talent who will still fail to make it. What follows, everything else that I'm going to talk about here today, are all the reasons why you could be talented and still not make it. Point number 2. Today's topic, why is missing for many athletes who want to become professional basketball players, but they don't. What are the things that they're missing? Number 2, relationships/connections. You don't know anybody. You don't know anybody who knows anybody. And nobody who is somebody knows who the hell you are. And that's one of the reasons why you fail. Being connected to the right person at the right time, who knows the right people and knows the right information, that can make all the difference between you getting on and you not getting on. That can make all the difference between you having a job and you not having a job, between you getting your next opportunity and there not being any more opportunities. Just knowing the right person. Same skill set, same level of talent, same background, same resume, same everything. If you know the right person, that could change the trajectory of your career. And if you know no one, that could change the trajectory of your career. Just the connections and the relationships. It is that important who you know and who knows you. Despite the fact that we all have media platforms these days to put ourselves out there, relationships still matter. All right, it's not just let me put a bunch of videos up on YouTube or send a bunch of copy and paste emails to every email address that I can find. Doing that alone is not going to be the thing that separates you from everybody else many times. Sometimes it's just you need to know somebody. You need to know the right person. Again, be in the right place at the right time in front of that person. Have the right performance in front of the right person. That can be the huge difference. It is not, you can't just do this all through the passive behavior, such as posting stuff on social media, sending emails to people. You got to be willing to get on the phone. You got to be willing to shake hands. You got to be willing to go face to face where people are. You got to be willing to go to where things are happening. You got to go to where it's at so you can get yourself seen, heard, and known. These are the things that I've been talking about. But people tend to pick and choose the parts that are convenient for them. This may be inconvenient for you. You're not such a people person, or you don't really like talking to people that much, or you just want to play ball. Understand that if you're coming from a space where you're not so talented that they are coming to you, you got to go to them. And that may be inconvenient for you, but what's more inconvenient? Not having a job? So you got to decide, what are you willing to do? Without those relationships and connections, without the right people knowing you, you could be very talented, have all the skills, and never have a job. Relationships matter, and they matter a lot. Relationships can do more to you than all the skill in the world can do for you. Point number 3. Today's topic is the top things that are missing for athletes who want to but fail to become professional basketball players. A lack of discipline. Number 3. Showing up every single day, being on time for practices, being on time for travel, being on time for the bus, being on time for the team flight, practicing hard every single day, even when you don't feel like it, staying positive even when you're not getting in the game, staying positive even when you didn't get in the game at all, staying positive when you haven't been paid on time, staying positive and keeping a positive attitude, practicing hard even when you had a game the previous day, even when you didn't play at all the last 3 games. Are you still willing to show up and work as a professional every single day, even when things aren't going the way that you want them to go? Episode 1304. Why professional sports are not for everyone. Masterclass number 1310. How to professionalize your business. Masterclass number 1060. Why otherwise promising athletes fail to become professionals. We talked about this. Masterclass number 931. What is expected of you when professional is next to your name. Number 913. How to treat your desired career or business like a profession before it has become a profession. Number 755. How to become a professional athlete. These are all things that I've talked about here. Number 619, professionals don't need motivation. The discipline of showing up every day on time, doing your work, staying positive, even when things are not working in your favor and you feel it is very, very unfair, you got to have that discipline. If you don't have that, you'll be out of a job sooner than you know it. Before you even know what the hell happened, you'll be out of a job wondering what happened. Professional basketball, especially overseas, is not like scholastic basketball. It's not like college. It's not like high school. Damn sure it's not like AAU basketball. Sometimes a really good player barely plays in a game. If any of you have ever looked into EuroLeague basketball, in EuroLeague you'll see a lot of well-known players who have played in the NBA, played at high-level Division I college basketball, but they're not in the NBA now. They're playing over in the EuroLeague, and if you look at the box scores from some of those games, you'll see players who are well-known, brand-name players who play 15 minutes in a game. The game's 40 minutes long. They'll play 15 minutes. And they're not injured. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't even mess up. In the minutes that they played, they just don't play that much. That's the way it works sometimes. There are players who will play 10 minutes in a game. Then the next game, you might play 35 minutes. You never know. That's the way that it works overseas, is that the rotations are not the same. It's not like we just throw out the most talented guys and they play the most minutes. It doesn't work like that at all. And when things are not going the way that you want it to go, you still got to show up every day and be positive and work hard in practice, because if you don't, they'll fire you and hire somebody else to take your spot. That's the way it works. What is your attitude when things aren't going the way that you want them to go? When things aren't going the way that they went at your previous stop, do you still have a positive attitude? And again, it sounds good when everybody says it before they get into that situation, but when you get in it, are you still showing up and doing that every day? Because if you're not, you'll be fired. You're not going to get a talking to. They're not going to send you a podcast episode. They're not going to send you a YouTube video to motivate you. They're just going to fire your ass and they're going to replace you with somebody else. All right, you won't have time to figure it out and make it right. It'll just be over. Number 4. Today's topic, the things that are missing from professional athletes or wannabe professional athletes who fail to become professional athletes. Number 4, hustle and persistence. And I'm talking about off the court. I'm not talking about hustling on the court. Hustle and persistence off the court. Meaning when you're trying to get in the game, what is your IQ? And IQ stands for I quit, not intelligence quotient. I quit. What has to happen? How much are you willing to try before you give up? This is a basic truth of life. Most people fail at things simply because they stop trying. People don't fail because they try over and over and over again, and they try so many times that whatever they're trying for says you're banned from trying again, so you got to give it up because we're not letting you try anymore. I've rarely heard anybody ever be told that. You can't try anymore, so just quit. The main reason people quit most things in life, or the main reason anyone fails at most things in life when they fail, is simply because they stop trying. So are you willing to continue to persist, especially those of you who are coming from a background similar to mine, where you didn't come from a big school, you don't have a perfect pedigree, but you're still trying to get in the game. Maybe you don't know a lot of people, maybe you know no one when you're coming in, like I knew no one. Are you willing to hustle? Are you willing to persist in going after the job opportunities that you want? The reason I was able to have a professional basketball career is because I hustled to get my opportunities, and I continued to hustle even when things weren't working. I had to hustle to get my first agent, let alone my first job. I had to pay my own way to go somewhere to be seen to where I could get my first agent. And I had to pay for the video for that. Then I had to pay to get the video to that person. Then I had to follow up with them and make sure they followed through on the things that they were going to do. I had to do all those things myself. Those were all investments that I had to make. 5 forms of investment. Masterclass number 609. Time, money, energy, focus, attention. How much of those are you putting into your business of being a professional athlete? And how willing are you how long are you willing to continue to make those investments of persistence and hustle to get the opportunities that you want? So a lot of people aren't willing to put those investments in for long. You're willing to put those investments in for a certain amount of time, but then when that time goes by, then you're giving up on the game. And that's okay. I mean, everything ain't for everybody. Everybody ain't gonna be a professional basketball player or a professional athlete, period. But if you really want to be one and you truly believe, quote unquote, that this is the thing that you're supposed to be doing, you got to be willing to persist. You got to be willing to hustle. And are you willing to keep hustling even when it's not working? It's easy to hustle when it's working. It's hard to hustle when it ain't working. Point number 5. Today's topic, the top things that are missing from otherwise promising pro athletes who fail to make it, or otherwise promising athletes who fail to make it as professionals. Why do you not make it as a pro? You lack a love for the game. Now this one you might be surprised at. Not all players who have a high level of talent actually love basketball. Because again, what did I say? Talent is something that is bestowed upon you. All right, talent is not something that you go in the gym and work for, at least in the context in which I'm using it. I'm talking about God-given ability when I say talent. I'm not talking about you train for it, then you call it talent, because talent, you could use it semantically different ways. I'm talking about the talent that's bestowed upon you. There are a lot of people who are really talented for basketball who don't really love playing basketball. And as we all know, in basketball, height is a talent. Being 7 feet tall is a talent for basketball. Because if you're 7 feet tall, you're going to get opportunities knocking at your door even when you didn't ask for them. Just because you're 7 feet tall doesn't mean you love basketball. You might get thrown into basketball. You might end up in the situation of being a basketball player because you're so tall, people wouldn't let you do anything but play basketball, but that doesn't mean that you love basketball. And any of you who's been around the game long enough, especially, I know there are many coaches who listen to this show, you've probably been around some people who are really tall, played basketball because they were tall, but you could tell probably within the first 2 days of dealing with him, all right, this guy doesn't really love basketball. I mean, maybe he likes it. Maybe he likes what he can get from playing basketball, like the money, the attention, the scholarship, the free education. Maybe he likes the things he gets from it, but he doesn't actually love playing basketball itself. And it's very obvious. It's very obvious when you're dealing with someone who doesn't love basketball. See, the thing is, if you're 5'9" and you don't love basketball, you can go on and do other things with your life and nobody gives a damn. Nobody ever comes up to you and say, hey, you ever thought about playing basketball? But if you're 6'9" and you don't play basketball and because you don't love the game, you get people asking you that all the time. Hey, did you ever play basketball? Did you think about playing basketball? Why aren't you playing basketball? Why aren't you on the basketball team? You that tall, you're not going to play basketball? You got to understand. Think about a kid who's 13 years old, growing into 30 years old, and every day of his life, every person who comes across him, as soon as they see him, see his size, they're like, man, basketball. You should be playing basketball. You should be on the basketball team. So they grow up being indoctrinated that they should be playing basketball. They must play basketball. You're a dummy if you're not playing basketball. So this is how you get a whole bunch of tall people who have no inclination towards basketball. The only connection they have to the game is that they're tall. So then they get socially pressured into playing basketball and they don't even like the game. And they may go very far. They go all the way to the NBA with basketball, even though they never really loved the game at all. But this is something that derails a lot of careers. The players just not loving the game. A player who's 6'5", 6'4", 6'3", 6 feet, not loving the game. Listen, I've talked to these players who tell me straight up, listen, I enjoyed the game. I loved it up through high school, but when it got to college, I stopped loving it. Or I loved it through college. When I got to the pros, I didn't love it anymore. Or when I had to go play overseas, I didn't love it anymore. When I was in the G League, I stopped loving the game as much because I just didn't enjoy all the other stuff that came with it. See, the thing about love for the game is that you got to love everything that comes with it. And in the NBA, you get to live the life. You get the lifestyle. You get all these great things, the great ways that you get to live when you're playing in the NBA. But when you're playing in the G League or you're playing overseas, it may not be as luxurious as you think it is through watching TV and looking at social media. All right, you're not getting on all private flights. You're not staying in all 5-star luxury hotels. You're not maybe around your family as much, especially when you're playing overseas. You might not have your family with you. You're in some random country that you've never been to before. You don't speak the language. You're not familiar with the food. You're on a team where you're playing 10 minutes a game, even though you're the best player on the team. You might not have gotten paid on time, and you're supposed to continue to love the game and show up every day. Some players don't love the game as much when they got to go through that, and that's part of the game. So when I say love for the game, I'm not just talking about what's on the court. You got to love all the stuff that comes with it, all the stuff that goes around it. Those of you who may know a little bit more about the game, the conditions that players are dealing with when they're playing in the G League, you're traveling commercial flights. You're going to these small towns. You're getting on these small ass planes. You're sitting in coach class seats. You might be 6'8", sitting in a regular seat. You don't even have an exit row seat because there's only 6 exit row seats on the whole plane, and 6 of your teammates got seniority over you. They got the seat and you don't get it. This is the way that you're traveling every game, all season. You're staying in like Holiday Inn Express hotels, 2 people to a room. You don't even get your own room in the hotel. This is the way that you're living for a whole season, and you can look up how much money they're getting paid. You may not love the game as much when you got to deal with that. And if you don't love that, you might not stay in the game. These are the things that you got to deal with, and these are things that a lot of casual fans do not understand when they're looking from the outside in. They think it's just play basketball, get known, make money from it, post a couple things on social media, be the envy of all your friends. There's a whole lot more to the game that a lot of people don't pay attention to simply because you're not aware of it. But I'm helping you become a little bit more aware of it today. But I'm really talking to the athletes here today. Many people play ball because they're tall and or talented, or because everybody around them always told them they should play ball, but they don't love it. And you see this often, again, in really tall people who are socially pressured into it for no other reason than being tall. Point number 6. Today we're talking the top reasons why athletes, basketball players, really good basketball players, fail to become professionals or remain professionals. Number 6, a lack of basketball IQ / feel for the game. In a professional game, in the game of professional basketball, not in the game itself, you're expected to understand some basic concepts and, offensive, defensive sets. If a coach uses certain terminology that a casual fan might consider to be jargon, basketball jargon, you're expected to know basketball jargon as you're a basketball player. All right, you're expected to know that stuff. So if you become an engineer, somebody may use some engineering jargon when they're talking to you, but shit, you're an engineer. You should know the jargon. If you don't know it because nobody ever taught you, Well, that's just too bad. They're not going to slow down for you to figure it out. Maybe in middle school or high school, the coach would have slowed down for you to figure it out. In the pros, they ain't slowing down for you to figure it out. Oh, you don't know how to run a pick and roll? All right, we might need to reconsider hiring you. Oh, you don't know what it means to play a 2-2-1 defensive zone? Okay, then you can't play. You got to sit on the bench until you figure it out. It'll be held against you when you don't understand these concepts. These are things, there are certain things when you get to certain levels of any profession that people will be expecting you to know, even though they didn't teach it to you. They'll be expecting that you learned it somewhere along the way. And if you don't know it, you will get left behind. I've talked about this already, that if you're a slow learner, you will get left behind. You must be ready to move. You must be ready to move and must be ready to adjust and adapt to the things that get asked of you or the things that get told to you, because people aren't going to teach it to you slowly. They're going to tell you once, and if you don't figure it out, they keep going. Masterclass number 601. Be a quick study. Slow learners get left for dead. Masterclass number 590. If you don't learn from your experiences, that means you wasted your time. There are things that you got to learn that if you don't know them up front, the game will leave you behind. Please don't let the game leave you behind. All right? I told you when, why, and how to choose learning over earning. Masterclass number 1290. You got to know these things up front. So anything you think you might be expected to know, make sure you know. Make it your business to know it before you show up, because they're going to be looking at you crazy if you don't know it. The pros do not offer remedial classes. Number 7, today's topic. The top things that are missing from professional athletes or wannabe professional athletes who fail to become or fail to remain pro athletes. Too much socializing / nightlife. Remember that perception is reality in life. Okay? So if you're seen outside, or seen chasing girls, or seen getting drunk, or people hear you were drunk, or you get in a fight at a bar or a club, all of those things can get you released from a contract ASAP. I mean, by the next morning. Even if it only happened to you one time. Because the perception is everything. If you were at the club, and it's the only time at the club, and you got into trouble at that club, now the perception of you is you're a person who parties. Because you got in trouble at the club. You went to the club, nothing happened, you went home and nobody said anything, then you be cool. You went to the club, something happened, you got in trouble, all right, now you might get released. Same thing, just something happened, and it might not even been your fault. The other guy might have started it. You were just defending yourself. But because your name is involved and because you're so known, you can't hide, now it falls back on you and you lose your opportunity because of that. It's a mistake on your part, even though you think it's not. This is the way that it works. Perception is reality for people. Whatever people see, whatever they see, that becomes their reality. And understand that your reality doesn't matter as much as the reality of the coach or the general manager or the owner of that team. Because if they think you need to go, doesn't matter what you think, it's over. You're gone. That fast. So make sure that when you do get your opportunity, if you want to socialize, you want to partake in the nightlife, be smart about it. Don't allow yourself to get into trouble, even if it's not your fault. If you get into trouble, that could cost you your job because you may not be worth the risk. All right, unless you're super duper talented, and don't trick yourself into thinking that you are when you ain't. Number 8. Today's topic is the top things missing for pro athletes, wannabe pro athletes who fail to remain or become professional athletes. Number 8, a lack of heart / competitiveness. This is a big one as well, because a lot of athletes tend to think that because what all of us watch, American basketball players, we watch the NBA, right? We see LeBron and Harden and Kobe and all these guys playing, and we tend to think, all right, anybody who's not playing in the NBA but playing pro, it's a lower level. They're not as good, they're not as talented. They tend to think that it's sweet when you go overseas. You think that it's going to be easy going overseas because it's a lower level than the NBA, but then you get a rude awakening when you realize that those guys can play too, that they're pros too, and that the game is a little bit different there. The players at the pro level, listen, I don't care what league they're playing in, players at the pro level are better than the players at the level that you came from. And you're going to need a certain amount of competitive juice / dog in you to compete and stay afloat. Master classes number 853. You got to be a dog when you compete. 534, how to stay 10 steps ahead of your competition. 508, the higher the level of the competition, the less your skill level matters. It's more competition in heart than it is skill and talent. Number 307, how to murder the competition. You must be competitively equipped. You cannot be competitively deficient if you want to be a professional athlete, because you will be challenged. There will be people there who have just as much talent as you, if not more. If you don't have any competitiveness in you, you don't have any dog in you, you don't have any backbone in you, you don't have any fire in your belly, I don't care how much talent you have, you can get your ass kicked all up and down that court. And if that happens, you will get released, you will get fired, and you may not have a hard time getting another job simply because you didn't show that fire, or you didn't have the fire to compete and show your game. And this is something that creeps up on some players. They don't realize this because, again, a lot of athletes think, American athletes think that it's sweet when you go overseas because it's not the NBA. But understand, all right, those guys are pros and they can play. Now, just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it's not happening. Let's recap today's topic, which is the top missing elements that causes basketball players to fail to make it at the pro level. Number one, talent. Players don't like hearing this, which is why I'm saying it. The top reason that separates pro athletes from would-be pro athletes is talent. It is not hard work, not dedication, not self-belief. It's talent. Players who are unsure if they can cut it talent-wise, they usually push back when I say something like this. You can push back if you want, but when you're getting your ass kicked all up and down that court, you'll realize exactly what I'm saying. A lot of people who still have talent, however, still don't make it. And here are other reasons why. Number two, relationships/connections. You don't have any. You don't know anyone who knows anyone, and no one who knows anyone or is anyone knows who the hell you are. Despite the fact that we have all these media platforms through which to put ourselves out there these days, relationships, they still matter a lot. Number three, discipline. Showing up every day, on time, practicing hard, staying positive even when you're not playing. All right, pro ball is not like college or AAU ball. Sometimes you could be the best player on the team and still be playing 10 minutes a game. What's your attitude when that's happening? Number four, lack of hustle and persistence. I'm talking about off the court. What is your I quit when it comes to trying to get yourself on or stay on? This is a basic truth of life. Most people who fail because they stopped trying, not because the opportunity told them they couldn't make another attempt. I played pro ball because I hustled for a deal, and I continued to hustle even when things weren't working. How hard are you willing to hustle? Number five, a lack of love for the game. You'd be surprised that not all high-level athletes love the sport that they play. They may have been forced into it or socially pressured into playing the sport, even though they never really loved the sport. It's often seen in basketball with really tall guys who are socially pressured into playing basketball because they were tall, because everywhere they go, everybody's like, why don't you play basketball? So they force themselves into the game, and even though they may love what they get from the game, the attention, the money, the fame, the girls maybe, the whatever else they tend to get from the game, they don't actually love playing the game. And the harder that the game gets, the more it proves that they don't love it. But also athletes who may not be super duper tall, it might be my height, 6'4", 6'5", 6'8". When you're playing overseas or playing in the G League and those living conditions are not as luxurious as you thought they would be, you're going to find out if you love the game or not. And the game is more than what's happening on the court. It's everything that goes around it. Number six, lack of basketball IQ or feel for the game. In a pro game, you're expected to understand basic concepts and defensive, offensive sets, maybe some advanced stuff. And if you don't know it, understand there are no remedial classes for you to be taught it. So you better figure it out before you get there, or it could cost you your job. Number seven, too much socializing or nightlife. Understand that perception is reality. So if you're seen outside chasing girls, getting drunk, getting a fight at some night spot, these can all get you released ASAP, even if it only happened once, even if it wasn't your fault. Perception is everything. Everything is subjective based on other people's opinions and perceptions, not yours. Number eight, heart/competitiveness. The players at the pro level are better than the players at the college level. That's just what it is. You'll need a certain amount of competitive juice within you to compete and stay afloat. Number 853, got to be a dog. 534, 508, 307, all about competition and keeping yourself sharp mentally. If you're not a game group member, well, you probably wouldn't be hearing me talk right now. But if for some reason you heard this, you're not a game group member, become one so you get access to all of that material and the other 1,400 masterclasses that I put out here. Work on your game. Dre all day.